What is up, friends? Welcome back. We have another episode for you guys. Waiver Wire, Tuesday night. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to hang out for about a half an hour or so and go through everything. We had a huge day today, the trade deadline, of course. I'm sure we'll get to some of that stuff, and we'll kind of mix it in as I'm going over the Waiver Wire Report, which you guys can check out on thefantasyfellowship.com. Membership starting at just $8 a month. This week, 4 teams on bye: Cincinnati, Dallas, Kansas City, Tennessee. You guys can see my list of favorite ads there. And we're going to go through first the injury list to monitor. And good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well, my man. Tough week for some quarterbacks. Jane Daniels with that elbow injury. They're saying he's likely out a while. I don't think we're going to see him at any point this season. It really depends on how the Commanders' season goes, but the NFC is pretty top heavy right now. I just don't know if we're going to see meaningful Jane Daniels games at any more point this year. So Marcus Mariota will be talked about in the quarterback section. Kyler Murray with that foot injury. I mean, they already announced Jacoby Brissett starting week 10. And then we did get another Schefter report saying that he's likely out 4 to 8 weeks. So pretty big deal, man. Superflex leagues, Jacoby Brissett is going to be a factor. And he's going to boost Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, and some of the other players there. Brock Purdy's got the toe injury. I'm expecting him to be more probable this week. CJ Stroud with a concussion. I think he's more doubtful just with a concussion. I usually brace for 1 game miss, but we'll find out more tomorrow. I don't think he's going to practice tomorrow, but they're giving him a chance to beat it. Saquon Barkley, probable with the groin injury. He did hurt that groin before the bye, but he had a whole weekend to recover, so we'll see about that tomorrow. Actually, we won't, because they're Monday night, so we won't get a report on Saquon and the Eagles until Thursday. You have Bucky Irving, who we're expecting back with his foot injury. We'll be watching for the Bears, DeAndre Swift with the groin. He missed last weekend, and they didn't miss a beat offensively with Kyle Monangai. So maybe they're a little extra cautious with Swift. We don't know if we need to see him this week. They're saying Amari and Hampton likely to return after their bye week in week 13, so I'll watch for updates there. Quinshon Judkins is one to monitor. The shoulder, he has an AC joint sprain, which it didn't seem all that bad. It seems like a pretty low grade AC sprain, but we'll watch his reports tomorrow. You have Ramondre Stevenson, who missed with the toe. We'll watch for him. Aaron Jones did hurt his shoulder. He left that game early last weekend against the Lions, but they're saying good things where he does have a chance to play this weekend. So that'll be a big update tomorrow. They're saying Isaiah Pacheco is likely to return next week after their bye week. And then Trey Benson's eligible to return this week. So maybe they open up his practice window. We'll find out more about that, I'm sure, tomorrow. Samaje Perine, Ollie Gordon, Hassan Haskins, these guys are just other lower running backs with some injuries to concern. I have a huge list of wide receivers here. Of course, the most concerning one was the Travis Hunter knee injury that happened last weekend. We did get a good update today, though, with the trade for Jacoby Myers. They did say that Travis Hunter, his knee injury is not season ending. He does have a chance at playing again this season. I think week 13 is his first chance to come back. We'll see about that. But fantasy playoffs, we might get Travis Hunter back, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to be watching that Brian Thomas Jr. ankle injury. They did say it's a high ankle sprain, but it's a low grade. He has a chance to play this weekend. I think Puka Nacua is going to be fine with that rib injury. Hopefully, A.J. Brown's healed up with that hamstring. They're saying Garrett Wilson's going to practice this week, so he's got a chance. I don't think we're going to see Terry McLaurin. We'll see about Ricky Pearsall. I don't know if I feel good about starting him if he comes back in his first game, but we do want to see him start to practice. Matthew Golden, they said the shoulder injury is not too serious. He has a chance to play this weekend. Cooper Kupp's got that heel and hamstring thing. Not sure if we care about him. Godwin, kind of the same thing. Expecting Mike Evans to have a chance to play week 13. And then we have a bunch of other guys, a ton of receivers here. I will say Jaden Reed, I want to see his practice window opened up. I think with the Tucker Kraft injury, that's going to really be exciting to get Jaden Reed back for the Packers. Otherwise, you guys can kind of read the rest of those receiver updates. And then the tight end, of course, Tucker Kraft, possibly he did tear his ACL. I think I wrote that yesterday morning, so I'll update that. But he's out for the year. Brenton Strange could be back next weekend for the Jags, so he's one to maybe stash. And then I think Cole Kmet's going to probably sit with that concussion. If you need a QB this weekend, Sam Darnold, man, I think in a 1 QB league, he's a starter for the foreseeable future. So pick up Sam Darnold. He'd be my number one priority. In leagues I lost Jaden Daniels in a league. I'm going to go after Sam Darnold. I don't have a ton of trust in Justin Fields. long term, but he's got a fun matchup against the Browns this weekend. And then Superflex adds Mariota, Jacoby Brissett. If you guys need a quarterback, JJ McCarthy might be kind of fun against Baltimore at home. And then Penix at Indianapolis in Berlin. Superflex, monitor Davis Mills with the CJ Stroud concussion. Running backs. Just check your waiver wires for Trey Benson. He might be out there. I was able to add him actually last weekend in a money league. And then Devin Singletary would probably be the one that's widely available for most competitive leagues. Isaiah Davis, Tajay Spears, those guys are kind of fun. Otherwise, we're just looking at stashing some handcuffs, whether it's Bashal Tutin, Tank Bigsby. I do think Ollie Gordon, Dylan Sampson, Blake Corum. Amari DiMercado actually could probably be moved up my list. He was the lead back last night in terms of carries. And then Devin Neal, I think we might see some more of him from the New Orleans Saints. A good week to buy receivers if you need one. I think Christian Watson, Alec Pierce are guys that might be out there. Parker Washington, he does lose a little bit of steam with Jacoby Myers added to this team, but I think Parker Washington is still going to be this team's lead receiver. We do have the Brian Thomas Jr. thing. If Brian Thomas Jr. is out, I'm starting Parker Washington for sure. And if BTJ is out, you have to start Parker Washington. And then Jacoby Myers, I think, is a low-end flex play for me. I do have to update my start-sit charts tomorrow. But for now, I still like Parker Washington as a guy that's going to get, 7 to 10 targets per game going forward. Adonai Mitchell traded to the Jets. He's a sleeper, but add Jaden Reed, Watson, Alec Pierce. I like Tez Johnson a lot for the Bucks. Deeper stashes or Calvin Austin. Still add Torrey Horton. I know they traded for Rashid Shaheed today. And then Trey Tucker is a winner with the Jacoby Myers trade going down. So there's some good receivers available if you guys need some help there. And then if you need a tight end, Harold Fannin, maybe he was dropped over the bye week. Colston Loveland, I think Cole Kmet's going to be out with that concussion. And then Brenton Strange is the stash play. If you guys lost Tucker Kraft this weekend, try and get Colston Loveland. You guys can shoot for Mason Taylor, but add Brenton Strange for the rest of the season. He's going to be back next week and looking pretty good. And then if you want to play Luke Musgrave for a game, I think that's fine. I don't love Luke Musgrave long-term, but he's going to be inconsistent. Excuse me. Excuse me. But I don't expect Luke Musgrave to be out there for a ton of snaps. He's going to get a lot of routes, but he's not going to be a full-time player as much as Tucker Kraft was. So he's kind of a hybrid receiving tight end for them. He could be fine against the Eagles, though, in this first game. If you just want a guy for a week and then look at Brenton Strange for the future. And then here's those defenses if you guys need some defenses. Broncos, Seahawks, Texans, and the Panthers all have nice matchups for you guys. So I'll come back up here. I'm going to leave it sit on the list. Sorry, I'm not feeling too great today. We're kind of getting through it, but we're going to help you guys out tonight. Alrighty, Harris, good evening. Quarterback going to pick up for the rest of the season. It's Sam Darnold. I feel really, I mean, even if they didn't trade for Rashid Shaheed today, which I see Brett asking down there, I think Rashid Shaheed just makes this a no-brainer, slam dunk. I think I'm going to probably update my rest of season rankings and get Sam Darnold into my top 10, top 12 QBs. I think Justin Fields, if they continue, their defense just lost a lot of value. So the Jets are going to be in a lot of games where they're having to throw the ball and run the ball late. So I think Justin Fields might just be a guy I'm comfortable just leaving out there every week and seeing what happens. I think JJ McCarthy, though, he showed a lot of upside with his legs. And I don't hate Jacoby Brissett for the near-term future because he's getting rushing touchdowns. He's doing some nice things with Marvin and Trey McBride, elevating that Cardinals offense. But Darnold would be my choice rest of season. I'm ready to drop Kyler Murray. I think in a 1 QB league, yeah, I'm dropping Kyler Murray. I'm cool with holding on to Joe Flacco through the bye week if you need somebody. He's been throwing the ball better than almost everybody the last few games with the Bengals. So I like Flacco long term. He's looking pretty good. And good evening to Brett. All righty. I think it's definitely a positive for his value. You're going from Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. Shaheed's going to have more opportunities to make big plays with Sam Darnold, who's been playing lights out. We saw the deep ball on display the other night to a couple guys there on some big plays. And then you have Jackson Smith and the Jigba there. And this could just be a situation that helps both guys get more open, because now you have to respect Rashid Shaheed going deep. And the defenses also have to give a ton of respect to Jackson Smith and the Jigba. So you can't really, you know, you can't really stop either one guy specifically on one play, because they're just going to go to the other one. And then now you got Torrey Horton and the tight ends doing stuff. So there's so many moving pieces here. I think this is a huge win, not just for Sam Darnold, but this could be a win for Jackson Smith and the Jigba. This could be a nice, I mean, at this point, I was already pretty high on Rashid Shaheed with the Saints. I was telling people to start him pretty much every week, just because he had that nice, 7 to 10 point floor for the most part, and then he would pop off for a big play or two. But now I think he becomes a must start player every week. He's, to me, I mean, in my rest of season rankings when I did it, I put him above Xavier Worthy. So Worthy's a big time play guy. I think Rashid Shaheed with the Seahawks is kind of must start, I think. I'm going to drop Darnell Mooney first and foremost. I think Darius Slayton's worth holding on to. I know he dropped the touchdown at the end of the game last week, but he's still their clear, number one receiver. He's going to run all the snaps and the routes out there with Wandale. And Jackson Dart seems to have a good rapport with him. I think I'm going to hold on to Slayton. I can move on from Darnell Mooney. We don't really need to talk about the trades too much today. The only ones for fantasy that we really are concerned with, obviously, is Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. And then we did get, what was the other one? Here's the full summary. So Shaheed to the Seahawks is the one we cared about. Jacoby Myers to the Jags. I think this is an interesting one. I watch a lot of Jags football, and I think Diami Brown is the one that is the biggest loser here from this trade. Their best receivers are going to be Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, and Jacoby Myers, and they can kind of interchange those guys. I do think Jacoby's going to probably live in the slot more often than not, but they're going to mix in Jacoby, and Parker Washington lives pretty good in the slot too. So I think going forward, if Brian Thomas Jr. plays this weekend, that's fine. You can start Jacoby Myers. I do want to see more from him first before we throw him out there. I just don't know if they're going to throw him out there for a ton of snaps. Liam Cohen's offense needs receivers right now, though, so maybe he just gets thrown out there and just runs a bunch of slot routes. But for this week, at least, I'm starting Parker Washington. I'll play BTJ if I can, but it's a tough matchup against Houston. But either way, I think this is a nice win for the Jags. They get relief with the Travis Hunter injury for the interim. And then when Hunter comes back, this could be a really fun passing pie. Yeah, we can drop Cooper Kupp. We can move on. If you're looking at Cooper Kupp right now and you can add any of these guys here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I would rather have Alec Pierce. I'd rather have Tez Johnson, Calvin Austin, maybe. I'd even rather have Torrey Horton at this point. So let me pull up Hutchinson here. I don't have a lot of trust in any of the Texans receivers besides Nico, So here's the charts. Nico, still the clear number one. Hutchinson did run 31 of the 47 routes, which was third best on the team, but Christian Kirk back and healthy. He's going to be the guy that operates as the true number two receiver out there. And then Dalton Schultz is still getting a lot of options. So Hutchinson's kind of the fourth receiver there. I'm not super big into Hutchinson on my team. I think there's other players that I would look for. If you guys play in competitive leagues, like this is my most competitive league that I play in. It's a super flex league. And it's a deep league. We have 16-man rosters. And this is what my waiver wire looks like. Calvin Austin, Rashad Bateman. There's really nobody on here that I want to add on this team. I would probably maybe look at Calvin Austin as a guy that I can grab instead of Xavier Hutchinson. Cedric Tillman's coming back too. He might not be a bad stash. I do think Jack Besh is going to be the number two receiver for the Raiders. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at him. He didn't play last weekend. They played Tyler Lockett as the number three. But I think long-term Jack Besh is someone that should get more and more work as the year goes on. I do like Torrey Horton down here as well. You could take a look at a guy like where is he? Someone like Chris Moore is going to probably be the number 2 receiver for the Washington Commanders. It might be Jalen Lane, but you can try fishing there. I think Mac Hollins might be someone, but it's probably going to be Demario Douglas that gets the biggest bump with Kayshon Boutte missing. But I think at this point, maybe it's Kyle Williams. Maybe it's some of these younger players that could step up and get some more work as the year goes on. But yeah, my waiver wire is pretty cooked at this point. So I think Jack Besh would be the one that I'm willing to hold on to and seeing what happens. But yeah, go ahead and grab Jaden Reed. Darnold or Brissett? How much would you bid for Darnold if you would rather have him? I want Darnold for sure over Jacoby Brissett. I don't know how much money we're working with here. In the league that I have Jaden Daniels in, I have a $10 bid on Sam Darnold right now. And I'm kind of just viewing that as like, hey, I want a guy on my roster the rest of the year. And if I need to make, quarterback lineup decisions based on matchup, I can do that. But I want Darnold on my team the rest of the year. So to me, I was thinking like 10, $12 to lock him in on my roster. We can move on from Coker, and I'm fine with moving on from DK. He's going to be inconsistent. I would keep Singletary. Singletary actually had the better usage for the Giants. Where is that Giants game? Let me see if I can find it real quick for us. I just had it. So Singletary runs 32 snaps to Tyrone's 25, 15 routes and 19 routes. They're kind of splitting the route duty. Singletary does get 8 carries, also gets 2 targets, 2 receptions. He might be the goal line back. I'm not quite sure. I think Tracy kind of got dinged up in this one and came back, but it does look like Singletary is definitely somebody that we are going to want on the end of our bench. And Tracy's kind of fragile. He's gotten dinged up throughout his time here in New York. It does look like they trust Singletary out there, and he's not like a super sexy play. But hey, if I can get a running back that's getting 7-10 points per game, I'll put him on my bench. And if I need to whip him out as a running back too, I think I'm cool with it. You have $68 here. I think the most I would bid on Darnold is like $18. I think keeping $50 is probably where I would want to be. $12 to $14, I think, for Darnold makes an intriguing bid for you, though, Harris. Anything else did we miss? I am open to another receiver there, double tap. Might be AD Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell for the Jets. We know he's good. We know he can get open. He's just had issues kind of in between his ears at times. And he's always produced when he's gotten a chance. He's just been behind those top 3 receivers for the Colts. But now I think it's very clear he's going to be the number 2 receiver for the Jets. Maybe not right away. He'll kind of build back up to that. But I think Adonai Mitchell has some life in him now, and he's worth seeing what he can do. I just want to take a peek here. I'm going to go to the Fellowship Money League and just take a look at that waiver wire and see what's cooking here. So this is a 1 quarterback league. So there's going to be QBs available. You can see Sam Darnold here, JJ McCarthy. Those would be the 2 guys that I'm looking at if I'm trying to replace a guy like Jaden Daniels. The running backs over here are probably not going to be looking good. You got DeMercado. So this stupid Cardinals running back field, man, very frustrating. They only used 2 guys last night. They both did okay. 6.8 for Bam Knight, 8.8 for Emari DeMercado. DeMercado led the team, though, in carries, which I thought was interesting. And Bam Knight was actually out there for all the routes. So I would have guessed those would be reversed just based on how they've used DeMercado in the past. So I really don't have a lot of trust in these 2 backs. And I think with Trey Benson coming back, you're looking at maybe 1 more game, maybe 2 more games for these guys here. But if you need a running back too for this week, I suppose it's DeMercado out there, but Bam Knight's getting the routes. I think both guys can be a low-end RB2 this week. Dylan Sampson might be the sneaky ad, though. If we see Quinshon Judkins not practicing tomorrow, like Dylan Sampson's going to rise my weekly rankings pretty good. We can drop Samaje Perine. I'm probably dropping Samaje Perine for Singletary, for probably DeMercado, for Sampson, maybe Devin Neal, maybe Tank Bigsby. Yeah, that's probably it from this list. We know Samaje Perine's game. He's really only going to be valuable if Chase Brown goes down, so he's purely in the handcuff shape. But I think I'm going to probably look for a younger running back to stash. Um, if we want some receiver depth here, I mean, I do think Jacoby Myers is going to be pretty. Like, he's a really nice fit. Um, I don't know how much value you're going to get from Jordan Mason. You're probably not going to get a startable asset in return if you do that straight up. But if Aaron Jones is going to be out this weekend, I think this would be the week to move on from Jordan Mason. But receivers that I don't like, I'm open to seeing what the people with Olave think of him. Like, he might be a buy low candidate here. He's been very productive, and now he's basically the only target in town besides Juwan Johnson. So Olave's a sneaky ad. I do think a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson could be easily affordable. He's not a super attractive player, but he's been productive since Malik Neighbors went out. You could take a peek at Quentin Johnston, who I know we had a goose egg a couple of weeks ago, but he's healthy and they're making it a focal point to get him involved. I think you could check in with the Rome Odunze owner after he just put up a 0. You could check in with the Stephon Diggs owner. I'm open to seeing what the Rashid Shaheed price is. And Shaheed, again, he's wide receiver 26 on the year. He's got a bunch of 8s and 9s in here, 6.8, but that was his worst game. He's been 4 catches plus every game. I don't know if this is going to be his similar outlook with the Seahawks, but I do know that he's probably going to have more opportunities to make bigger plays for fantasy. So I do like him. Another guy that I think could be easily had is Trey Tucker. And Tucker's been pretty consistent, actually. He's been getting 4, 5, 6 targets per game the last couple weeks. I know Brock Bowers is back, but now we have Jacoby Myers out of the way. And I feel pretty good about Trey Tucker just being the guy that's going to get all the snaps and the routes, and targets will usually come when you're that productive with the snaps and the routes. So Tucker is one. I think Troy Franklin is a nice depth piece. He's wide receiver 26 on the year. He does have some inconsistent low games. For the most part, a floor game for him, though, is 8 to 9 points. You can take a peek on the Romeo Dobbs situation. I think Khalil Shakir, a depth piece, could be added. You can maybe check out a guy like Alec Pierce, Jacoby Myers. I think Parker Washington people might be kind of turned off from Parker Washington with the Jacoby Myers trade, so he's worth looking at. So I hope that's a decent amount of names for you. You can start to look at. Do I drop him for Davis Mills in Superflex Dynasty? My other quarterbacks were Jacoby Brissett, Purdy, and CJ Stroud. Do we drop Samaje Perine for Davis Mills? Yeah, I'm cool with that. If that's who we're dropping, yeah, I'm cool with moving on from Perine in a dynasty league. You can also do Mariota. I'm probably more interested in Mariota long term, but in the short term right now, I think, yeah, I would add Mariota. I'm not adding Davis Mills with the chance for one game. I'm definitely going after Mariota because he's going to probably start the rest of the year and provide some more value for you. He's also a decent play this weekend too. Just with his rushing upside, we know Davis Mills is not a runner. Mariota at least has that opportunity to get you some leg points. So Mariota for sure over Davis Mills if you're adding someone in dynasty formats. I just want to pull up here. This is the Fellowship League here. Some decent receivers available. Nothing that I really love. I do want to look at the running back situation here. I guess we already looked at that. If you're trying to replace Tucker Kraft, and this is what your waiver wire looks like, Colston Loveland would be my number one target. I think Luke Musgrave could be fine for one game. The Eagles are pretty good against the tight end. I think Isaiah Likely could be fine for a 1-week rental. He finally came alive, 4 targets, 3 catches, 60 yards. They're playing the Vikings, and the Vikings can give up some tight end points. Mason Taylor, not a bad option either. He's been really steady for the Jets, kind of as their number 2 target. He's, had a bad game here, but for the most part, you're getting 6 to 10 points out of Taylor. So I like Taylor. I'm I'm open to Luke Musgrave though. I can see it, but they just spread the ball out so much. I don't think that's where you want to be. I think I'd rather have Loveland for sure. I'd even go far down here, and I would look at Elijah Arroyo, who's been making a play or two per game, making a big touchdown last weekend, 4 for 42 the week before. Interesting guy. But if I lost Tucker Kraft this weekend, I think Brenton Strange is the long term answer. Find yourself a tight end for this week, but go ahead and grab. Um, yeah, it's going to be Brenton Strange, and I think he's going to be out there in a lot of leagues. And you guys can always just go to IR eligible Brenton Strange right there. He would be the number one priority for me if I'm trying to replace somebody like Kraft for the rest of the year. It would be him. Otherwise, it's Loveland, which I think even if you want Strange, go get Loveland. Like we're talking about a first round talent tight end, and who finally had a breakout game, and maybe they can't ignore him for that much longer. So a super deep dynasty. Well, check out Strange. I do think a guy like Elijah Arroyo should be added in dynasty leagues. I think Darnell Washington has been a pretty productive player the last month or so. I know he didn't have a target or a catch against Green Bay, but he's a guy that's starting to come around and get more uses in Pittsburgh. So he's kind of a fun one to keep an eye on. Otherwise, Terrence Ferguson for the Rams, he didn't play at all the first month, but he's starting to make plays now, and big plays too. You can see 21 yards per catch, 31 yards, 27 yards per catch here. He's making big plays. He might be the guy next year for the Rams. So Ferguson would be high on the list. Maybe Greg Dulcich is finally back. He went 5 for 49 last week with the Dolphins. He's kind of an interesting guy. Not much all the way down here, though. So those would be some names I'm looking for. In a really deep situation, you could look at Ben Sinnott, who's, we were really hyped on him. He was a round 2 rookie last year. Just hasn't been able to overtake Zach Ertz yet. I think Chico Conquo is a name, not super attractive. I actually, in a super deep dynasty, man, I would go with Gunnar Helm, the tight end for the Titans. He's probably their guy next year. Gunnar Helm, I think, could be one of the options for you. I don't like any of these options. In a dynasty league, these guys are not where I want to be. Oh, man. A super deep dynasty league. I don't want Taysom, Knox. I'm open to Jatavian Sanders, Gunnar Helm, Darnell Washington. Luke Musgrave might be available. Terrence Ferguson might be available. I think outside of that, they are saying Cade Stover might be back soon. And he came out and he caught 4 for 20. Like he might have been pushing Dalton Schultz for some snaps. I think Stover's a really interesting player. Otherwise, all the way down here, I just don't know if I'm seeing anything. In a dynasty league, Harris, I don't want to add old tight ends like this. I want to add really young tight ends that we don't really know what we're getting with them yet, but they have more room to grow. And I'm not adding, the Knoxes, the Hills, the Connors. Those guys don't excite me from the dynasty perspective. Yeah, I mean, this is a like. And honestly, even if Komet's back, Loveland might be he just might be the guy going forward, and they just can't ignore him anymore. They paid a first round pick for him. They finally saw what he could do, and he was the reason why they won that game. So I think Loveland might have the inside track rest of season. But for sure, if Cole Komet's out, we want to play him easily. Yeah, I think Darnell Washington is fine. If someone cut Michael Mayer, like they ran a lot of 2 tight end stuff last week. And if Mayer ever gets traded or moved or Brock Bowers misses time, I think Michael Mayer's an interesting guy in a dynasty perspective. If he needed any other deep tight ends, I do like Cade Stover. This Jackson Hawes guy has been kind of interesting. He makes a play or two per game. I'm not super into Noah Gray, but I don't hate it because we don't know if Travis Kelsey's coming back next year. So Noah Gray could be the guy next year for them, which would be kind of fun. So if this is just a guy that, hey, Harris, like you don't need him to start anytime soon and you just want to make him pick up for next year, I'm cool with adding Noah Gray and seeing what happens. I think that's fine if that's kind of the thinking. This Jared Wiley might also be a player for the Chiefs at some point next year too. Um, but for now, I'm thinking the names that I mentioned would be kind of where I'm looking at. And again, I don't hate Greg Dulcich. He's got you have to start at least one game this year. Maybe Greg Dulcich is the guy for you. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, if these are your options, you're basically just hoping for 4 or 5 points in that game. So I wouldn't sweat it too hard. Try and add a guy that you can find value in the future and go from there. But I am going to get out of here for the evening, guys. We'll go live tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central Time. We'll hang out and do the start sit charts. If you guys are on the fantasyfellowship.com, I do have everything up there. Tomorrow I'll get my weekly rankings up, and then I'm going to try and update some rest of season rankings tomorrow. I put them out today, but that was before the trade deadline. Everything went crazy. So we'll get that stuff updated. But again, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Peace.